Welcome back, everyone, to Red Spotlight. I'm Alexis, and I'm joined by David, of course, for our S.H.I.E.L.D. reaction commentary series. We are just on our way to wrapping up already the first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's actually kind of incredible, also kind of scary, and yet here we are. Of course, this show is catered to the longtime S.H.I.E.L.D. fan that wants to go back and relive the days once more. And just have a conversation about it, which means that spoilers for literally anything about this show could come up. I mean, who knows? Maybe we could talk about Izel, a character that doesn't come in until the 6th season for whatever reason. I don't even know why we would, but hey, that's a possibility. So just be aware that those potential spoilers might happen. And if you are in the mood, by the way, to go and watch this for the first time for yourself, it's on Disney Plus. Knock yourself out. And there are plenty of other channels who I'd love to recommend to you to go watch their content because it is amazing stuff, some of which we actually feature here on the show. Okay, so as far as today is concerned, we have episode number 20 already. The episode is called Nothing Personal. It was broadcast on ABC on April 29th. Oh my God, it's this episode. April 29th, 2014. That's my birthday.
That's cool.
That's my birthday. And I have a vivid memory of watching this episode. And to me, I even had like a glass of wine. I was watching this episode, like a wine mom or something. I was watching it. And to me, now I remember this vivid memory. I was in this room and the episode concluded. And I think to me, for the first time, I was like, not that I wasn't loving the show before, because I obviously was, but I feel like to me, that was the first like vivid memory that I have where I'm like just completely, madly, fully in love with this show. And I love the time that I have watching it. And then, of course, in this very room, I didn't stay in this room for the following 6 years after that. I carried S.H.I.E.L.D. with me when I went to live in San Diego or Washington, D.C. And then I came back around as the show was coming to its conclusion. Mm-hmm. And again, it was this room where I watched the first episode. And it was also in this room where I watched the last episode. There's a lot of really interesting memories I have with it. And it just when I watched, when I read the date, like, oh. And it was so nice because in that year, it was like my first year of college. There were some classes that were just like throwaway and depressing. And I'm like, why am I fucking here? This is so dumb and stupid. And then I would drive home. And on a Tuesday, which is what this was, I would have this episode to look forward to. And on my birthday of all days. So that was nice. April 29th, 2014. My 19th birthday, as a matter of fact. Wow. Ooh, and it was watched by 5.95 million viewers. Written by Paul, let's call him Paul Z. Stebzeski and DJ Doyle. Directed by Billy Gearhart. And we have a couple of guest stars here, which of course we'll get into once we get into that, because obviously we know there's a pretty big one that was even billed at the time. Which is funny to me. That may be also considered another character that was treated better here than anywhere else in, if you want to call it the MCU, basically. And we will get to that, of course. Let me see if I have any trivia I can look up here that's on the page. The marketing, of course, is going to... Oh, yeah, we know that already. Okay, so... David... I think it's fair to say this has been successful so far. I'm having a really good time with the show.
For sure.
I mean, we love this show already. And I'm really, I hope, by the way, there's maybe, I don't know if there's a new appreciation, but just rewatching the show again on a week-to-week basis is something kind of special. You know, it's rare in any circumstance that we just like force ourselves to watch one episode a week. Or maybe one every other week, depending on how the filming of this occurs. But I don't know. I know that with every single rewatch, it just reaffirms why I love the show. And I'm wondering how we're about to watch the 20th episode already. How what it's done for you.
I mean, just it is different watching it. Fucking knew it. Sorry,
You okay?
Yeah, there's ants all over this fucking house. I don't know why. Just recently we got like just been getting a lot of them, and now every time I notice see one or feel one, I just feel it everywhere now in my body, and I'm just kind of like.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So finally caught one though, so I should be fine. What was I saying? Oh yeah. Fixing the camera, sorry. It's been cool rewatching it, especially because I saw the beginning of this episode. Because I was trying to get the episode and all that for editing,
right?
And right away, I'm just kind of like, oh, there were some major differences here between how the MCU is being treated now, especially since the last time I rewatched the show, I'm pretty sure it was even before WandaVision. So
about 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah. So
at least.
Mm-hmm. So for sure, there's a major difference between like how I saw the show by then and watching it now, and it's just so different the way basically they treated it like any other character within the MCU. I'll point it out when we get to it, but there's just one. We get some info about a certain character, and I'm like, you couldn't have done that with another certain character. But yeah, it's been cool rewatching it.
For sure. And I also feel like, I look at this more as like a great TV show first and something that exists as a part of Marvel second. But it also just reminds us of, like, why we were like really into Marvel those days, because they were doing cool shit like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Mm-hmm.
And now, not so much anymore, unfortunately. You mentioned WandaVision. God, I wish we were at that level. That was something else. Anyway, how we begin every week. Let's look at the comments that we got from last week. Now, of course, the last 2 episodes we filmed in 1 week and we spread them across. I mean, in our time. For you guys, it didn't disrupt the schedule at all. So for today, we're only going to read the comments for episode 18, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. Episode 18.
Yeah.
David, go ahead.
And it's just 3 comments, all from Gary Marshall.
Yay.
First one is, we get to meet 6 members of the Koenig family: Eric, Sam, Billy, LT, the comedian Thurston, and what does OFC stand for?
OG.
Oh, okay. Oh, the OG Ernest Hazard Koenig.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's a lot of Koenigs.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how they committed to that the entire way through of the show. Next one.
Says, for me, the special effects are secondary to the plots, characters, and dynamics of any TV show. I feel lots of viewers pay more attention to any effects faux pas than they do to the stories and dialogue, which, in my opinion, is quite sad.
Yeah.
Having grown up in the 70s England with Doctor Who and other sci-fi shows where the scenery would wobble at the slight touch, and the effects were done by a couple of guys in the shed, slight over-exaggeration. We didn't care as long as we got a show that we loved. That being said, what Mark Kopech and his team did on this show with the budget they had is quite mind-boggling.
Yeah, again, this is all just a victim of keeping your expectations in check. And we have to remind ourselves that no one is innocent when it comes to this. I'm never going to be like mad at people for saying something wasn't great solely because it didn't live up to the hype. Because we've been there. I've been there. I've seen things that people say, oh my God, it's a great. And then I watch them and I'm like, I mean, yeah, okay. And then I've also seen things that people are like, oh my God, this is a crime against humanity, the worst I've ever seen. I'm like, not really. I think it's actually, when you think about it, I think it's actually pretty good, actually. So we all have this, we all exist in this culture where we're constantly trying to like battle the weight of expectations. Like, seriously. And it can be detrimental to what you end up thinking about something. I'll give you an example in my case. Well, S.H.I.E.L.D's an example in my... When I love things, and people hate on them, it only makes me love that something more. That's just how I am. Not that I don't entertain like genuine criticisms, because there are genuine critiques of the show, and we've brought them up every step of the way. I feel like people need to. There's a lot of things people need to do, but like one of the things that they got to do is like, hey, two things can exist at the same time. I can love a show completely, but I can also spend some time to criticize it, and at the same time, acknowledging the criticisms is also acknowledging that there are different perspectives, and people are always going to feel at least two different ways about one thing. People love Deke, people hate Deke. I had no idea, but apparently some people hated Hunter. I wouldn't have imagined it. But those people exist. But that point about S.H.I.E.L.D. is, yeah, I don't know what happened. What had got into people's heads that Marvel was going to put a movie-level budget into a 22-episode TV show? Mm-hmm. That's the root of all of the different complaints that people had throughout the first season. And because they were so pervasive, because the groupthink was so successful in getting people in the, believing that the show was terrible, they never acknowledged its existence ever again. And they never even attempted to go and engage with the material because they were told by so many other friends, don't waste your time. The first few episodes were terrible. Why would you go back and watch more of it? So that happened. And as far as the budget is concerned, yes, we talk about it a lot. They didn't have much money, and so what they had to do is spend most of their time in hallways and redress those same hallways and to make them into new spaces. It is what it is. But I'll be damned if I said it ever once got in the way. I mean, I feel like season 5 is the one where it was really testing the limits of it, because for a lot of that season, well, really for most of that season, they were just using that one spot. Now, in the space arc, it worked perfectly. When they came back into the past, that was a different situation. And so one of the things that I've noticed that was really amazing about the fact that it was renewed miraculously for a 6th and then 7th season is there were a lot more episodes where they went outside. Whereas in season 5, it was like all inside. And I feel like I'm happy that one of the reasons why the last 2 seasons were great was we got to see more outside sequences. And I'm not even kidding. That's actually a positive, because I think one of the things that brought the show down in season 5, and by the way, I'm a diehard defender of the 5th season. I think it's an amazing season. But I can also acknowledge at the same time its shortcomings and its flaws. They had their budget slashed even more. And that's why they had to just be indoors most of the time in that set. That being said, despite the fact that I will defend that, it didn't look great too much to have that set always be there. Especially with, I don't even know why, so much of it was still like shot so darkly that you barely see anybody. And then when you see season 6, you notice that when they went back into that lighthouse set, they added more lighting. Go figure. And it changed the whole thing completely. They probably didn't have any money for that. Let's be real about that. So yeah, as far as and Mark Kolpak is a hero he I think is one of the key figures on the show that not only saved it but made it as memorable as it was. I think the amount that he and his team of work and the success they were able to produce should be celebrated, because it's a damn near miracle, and it is, as you say, quite mind-boggling. For sure. Thank you, Gary. Do we have one more from Gary?
Yeah. The writers of Buffy came up with the word to describe anything that would take too long to explain or something that needed to happen to move the plot along. That word was phlebotomon.
Phlebotomum.
Phlebotomum?
Phlebotomum, yeah.
Okay.
The only reason I know that word is because of this show.
Okay.
I kid you not. Go ahead, read what...
Yeah,
right there.
which would make an appearance or two in a certain season 7 episode, which
Yep.
was written by Drew Greenberg, a former Buffy
Yeah,
writer.
Drew Greenberg.
Okay.
And you know that 7 episode is what all of us know to be, and hilariously enough, what you and I referred to almost immediately when we watched it. We all talked about it as easily one of the best episodes of the whole show, as I have always been, is the episode. And phlebotinum. The only way I even know that word is because Gemma Simmons was saying that so many times, and even to comedic effect. Yeah.
Okay.
It'll stick out when we watch that episode.
No, I'll probably notice it.
Yeah. Okay, are we there? Are we good with that?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, so at this point, we're all going to go ahead and go to our copy of the episode. Nothing personal. Yay, episode 20. There's going to be a lot. We know that Maria Hill is in this episode. When she pops up, we'll have some things. What's interesting about this episode is this, because it features an MCU legacy character, there may be conversations on how the character was handled in other properties. I have seen everything else that Maria Hill has been a part of except for how she was murdered, apparently, in Secret Invasion. David here has seen Secret Invasion. From what I understand, that was one of the worst shows ever made as far as Marvel is concerned. And if you happen to like the show, I'm happy for you. Good for you. We don't want to trash anybody else's, stuff here, but we're also here to express our opinions, or at least in this case, David's opinion. And he didn't quite care for the show very much, and so I'm sure some of those thoughts will be brought in here as well.
Hard drive?
It's all the research our team's ever done, encrypted for safekeeping.
So I heard you say go, but you froze there for a second. I was like, oh shoot.
No. Well, maybe it was on your side, but I'm.
Yeah.
Nothing froze for me.
No, yeah.
Oh man, sorry.
No, yeah. You'll pick up on your Audacity audio and everything, but like I thought it was funny. Like I almost like, oh shoot, please say go, and you did. Like literally said and go. And I'm like, perfect.
Oh man.
We need to go right now.
Yeah.
Where's our boss?
And our team.
See, even that shot is obviously like green screen or VFX that we just saw there, but like, am I mad about that? No. It's TV. And you know what? For TV, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even kidding you. That's pretty good for TV.
Yeah.
And so I just know what to expect. And then also at the same time, am I going to be upset? Oh my God. A 5-second hanger shot was awful.
Mm-hmm.
2 thumbs down.
Kindergarten.
Really?
Where is this fridge? What was in there? Who or what is a man thing? I swear I need a cocktail and a lobotomy.
By the way, we talked about references to other things. She just mentioned Man Thing.
Which
and if you know if you saw a few years ago, one of my favorite things Marvel has ever done, and please stop everything and go watch it. I got a big kick out of it, was Werewolf by Night. I really love Werewolf by Night, and I loved it because I think it really evoked the classic Universal Monster era, but the black and white, dude, I'm a sucker for anything in black and white. Like I was just rewatching Out of the Past, which was the black and white noir episode S.H.I.E.L.D. did. Dude, he looks amazing. Like, I'm not even kidding you. It might be the best looking episode of the whole show. Just because they shot it in black and white. And it's even cheaper to do that, too.
Most of the intelligence community would like to drop me into a dark hole, but even they can't mess with Tony's army of lawyers. So
David, sorry, you were saying?
I was gonna say, actually, the game that I'm playing, Ghost of Tsushima, that one you can play that in black and white, and in original Japanese audio with subtitles and everything. It's amazing.
Really?
There's some moments it's
Yeah.
like hard to see like the enemy and all that, but like either way though, there's certain cutscenes and certain fights that just look beautiful.
how much does he know?
Enough. That they used alien biology, rewrote his memories.
By the way,
This-
already, I love the dynamic that May and Maria have here immediately. Like, they know each other, and it feels like they've known each other for a long time already.
Mm-hmm. But this already here, this is all we needed with Carter, not Peggy, her niece or something.
Agent 13.
Agent 13, yes. Remember how we were so complaining how none of the Avengers didn't do anything to help her after the blip because she had to be on her own. But here, though, she explains like, "Oh yeah, Stark just gave me a job in his security team and all that, and was able to help me out with lawyers." So that.
Well, wait a minute. You're correct, but I love this line here by Maria.
3 minutes and 20 seconds, really? If you were my agents, it wouldn't be for long.
But not even after the blip. What the fuck happened to after Civil War?
Yeah, that's what I should have mentioned. But yeah, none of them helped her after Civil War. She wasn't teaming up with Captain America and the rest of them in hiding. She was all on her own. And it was kind of weird. Okay, maybe she did it maybe she wanted to be on her own, who knows, but it was still kind of weird. Here though, literally S.H.I.E.L.D. goes down and Maria is already doing things for Tony Stark. He helped her out immensely.
That's all you had to do.
That's all they had to do.
And you know what's funny? That's basically how she ends Winter Soldier, but she goes for the CIA. Just go from the CIA to Tony Stark, and that's it.
The blast door and the hangar door are the only exits.
And both are undamaged. So nobody attacked the place, and they weren't running away, so why?
Maybe Kanan got orders.
From who?
Seeing them figure out what happened, I think Coulson already knows, doesn't he?
May walked away because I told her to. I was mad, and I was mean.
Then we don't need her sorry ass.
I love... That line reading always made me laugh. We don't need her sorry ass. Mm-hmm. And then followed by Coulson's, excuse me?
Yeah. But he has
and
a
then,
point.
Of course, Coulson, you, come on.
But, I mean,
now you're defending her? She's not there to see it.
But he also had a point, too. It's just this isn't a time to be, petty and everything.
Right,
you stick together
yeah.
or you don't, no matter how...
Things have fallen apart enough as it was, and then they come back, and the bus is gone, as well as Ward and Skye, and it's and May, too. What the fuck?
Pancakes.
Coulson's upset about pancakes now.
That's one way to cheer everyone up a bit, don't you
By the
think?
way, this is the last time. So it's a pretty cute idea that Fitzsimmons yeah, pancakes, that'll cheer everybody up. This might be the last gasp of their innocence, because after this, there's no going back. That is an idea that they would have done in the first 10 episodes. We're now in episode 20, and we've already... So much has changed since then, but here, that last, to me anyway, I'd take that as the last gasp of oh God, this is, well, yeah, sure, pancakes, but it's over.
We've had a wolf in the herd the whole time.
It must have been a difficult reaction for him to do, because he has to be afraid of this, but he also I can't believe this is impossible, right? It's
yeah.
He has to convey so many things at the in that second.
Fitz keeps the candy under his bunk. What are you up to?
I'm just looking for the sat phone.
Interesting, right there. Ward let slip something. Fitz keeps the candy under his bunk. How would Ward know that unless he's been in his bunk and been snooping around? Mm-hmm. Which is something they confirm actually in season 3. That while there, Fitz actually confirms this, that one time he caught Ward looking around his room, and looking kind of creepily at a picture of Fitz with his mom.
It's where I met Mike Peterson. It's where this whole S.H.I.E.L.D.
The reason why Fitz thought was because he was looking at something that he had lost or something.
Plus, tactically, what do you look for in a drop site?
Public place, lots of people.
Interesting bit of continuity there, just to put that in the context.
Figured if I ever got in trouble, I'd be safe there.
Oh, he'll be plenty safe.
But again, Skye is doing an amazing job playing him. But at the same time, you can tell, she's this close to falling apart because she's trying to keep her emotion out of it, right? Because she had feelings for him. And she found out he's fucking Hydra. And at the same time, she's trying to keep her composure and playing him and knows already what he's after. Again, so much has already happened that shows us what a capable Agent Skye is. And yet here we are once again. She's being put to the test and she's holding her own. But when you ask people, they're like, What does Sky ever do?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't believe it.
Take a breath, Agent Fitz.
Don't tell me to take a breath. Who the hell are you?
Yeah, man.
Think about it. They're just trying to mess with our heads. They wrote that on the wall to scare us.
One step at a time.
Everybody already knows. Even Fitz knows. He's just in denial.
Ward did this.
And again, I'm not sure we all were able to really understand in this part of the show the kind of extreme reaction Fitz has. You know how I mentioned how, Ward lost brothers, like they're no longer in his life on a close relationship aspect. Fitz never had a brother. He only had a mom and then a dad that walked out on him. And then most of the show, there are these characters that come into his life that kind of fill, that role of a fatherly figure. The only one that ever stuck around was Coulson. But there were others. Like, I feel like legitimately when you watch the show here in this season, especially that episode with Fitz and Ward, you can understand the betrayal hit a little bit harder for Fitz because once again he's been abandoned.
An hour would be a miracle.
Coulson needs this yesterday.
My laptop's on a time machine, Ward. That's the science.
She's so good. I'm sorry, she's really good at this. Like, she's...
We stick together, we stick to the plan. The sooner you decrypt this hard drive,
The sooner we get to them. I heard you twice the first time.
I love the condescension. I heard you twice the first time right there.
I was in this booth. I was sitting across from Mike Peterson, a good man, and now he's a murderer.
It's a nice bit of continuity, just to mention. The diner that they're at is where the show first started. But also, isn't this just such a good scene? And then also the tension here with the cops walking, and that one was looking at them. You already know where this is going to go.
Stand down. Colonel Talbot? There have to be better things for you to do than chase 4 SHIELD agents.
I forget that in this season, he's Colonel Talbot. He's not General until next season.
This is one of the most classified facilities on the planet, Colonel. How the hell did you find it?
What I find really interesting at this point is, I don't know if Fury at this point had talked to Maria about the fact that he had wanted Coulson to take over for S.H.I.E.L.D. She doesn't seem to be aware of it here. I love this.
My condolences.
Because right here, I mean, she basically sold him out, and she is encouraging him to like go work for Stark and everything, with like no intention of like S.H.I.E.L.D. ever coming back, and like that's not at all what Fury wants to do. So I always love how Fury is like, he does his own thing, and he doesn't really feel the need to tell people until it's time. I guess that he feels the need that it's time to let them know about that. But again, they do some interesting stuff there with like Maria Hill trying to hide her secrets and like, what secrets? And we never found out what that was about.
Your other options are pretty much hell.
Do your worst.
Great, Fitz. Go, Fitz.
And that quick look of him being like, oh, okay.
I'd like to tear this room apart.
Sure, Colonel. Knock yourself out.
A little subtle there. Coulson unbuttoning his jacket. What I also love here is like, Coulson, I think as the show goes on, maybe not so much in season 2 or 3, but when he's an agent, a normal agent again in season 4, and all the way after that, they really up the ante on what they do with him as far as like stunt choreography. I notice I feel like the stunt choreography kind of like elevates itself every single season, and in season 1 it's not the best, obviously. So Coulson,
who am I pretending to be?
My impatient boyfriend.
I like that cover.
and again, Coulson's not meant to be the strongest fighter. I think for the most part, he seems to be pretty average and pretty competent. But they give him a couple of good scenes from an action standpoint later on in the series that I think kind of get overlooked because, I mean, of course, as a fighter, you're going to be overlooked when you're next to Melinda May or Yo-Yo or obviously Quake and everything, or Mac especially.
It's gotta be so hard, living a double life like that. Getting close to people only to turn on them.
But I also noticed that as the seasons go by, even Fitzsimmons gets some action scenes. You know, they're not natural fighters, but they held their own at various points. Mm-hmm. And Fitz single-handedly murdered 4 creepers with a wire.
Difficult to accept, but thankfully that's over.
Because you took care of him.
Ward's like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
If he was sitting right here and you could say anything you want, what would you say?
Sky, what are you doing?
I'm just trying to have an honest conversation for once.
Every line of that was great. And the way she delivered it too. Yeah, Chloe Bennett also doesn't get enough credit for her acting abilities in this show.
No.
I just tipped them off.
I tipped them off.
No response? And here, since Ward's already exposed, there's no need to restrain himself. Like, think about Ward. He's a brutal killer. Like, and he's a force to be reckoned with. Like, even here. And I'm not sure if Sky has seen that. I mean, she knows that Ward is like, but this Ward Unleashed. I mean, look.
I'm not trying to hurt you!
And then what happens here, I did not realize this is like a Terminator reference when I first saw this.
Really?
Right? Like, I think the Terminator did this, the first film. I want to say they did. Yeah, I saw it recently.
Saved your ass.
You didn't save my ass.
I haven't seen
You
the first
turned it
one,
into
so
a public
I wouldn't
spectacle.
You let her get one over on you.
It's different than the second one, but it's continuity the same. But it's like it's more of a, think of it as a horror slasher and less of an action movie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was wrong.
But it's definitely worth watching.
We have her.
I think they're going to release the 4K pretty soon of that one. Yeah.
That's cool.
And then, of course, Terminator has an interesting relationship with the show because there are a lot of characters that are like cyborgs like that or just like robots. But then I love that Bear McCreary used the Fidel score for the Terminator films. The dun 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 dun. Like, he brought that back for the main Chronicom theme, which is like, I love it. But also, that was a cool shot that I forgot. I know it was a reference, but like Mike jumping out into the sky, jumping back in the car, and then like doing this to Sky. I mean, that's pretty.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah. It wasn't the way she.
It wasn't personal?
Sky, listen to me.
God, you might actually believe that.
How disgusted she is. How he said that it wasn't personal.
Teach you when you sign up to be a Nazi.
Stop, wait. I'm not a Nazi.
Yes.
You said every Nazi ever.
You're saying that your feelings for me.
They're real, Sky. They always have been.
I love the horror on her face when she realizes, oh my God, does this Nazi actually like me?
Someday you'll understand.
No, I won't.
Technically, he was right about that. I know Framework Ward is a different character, but Daisy literally did say that getting to know him makes her understand him more. Now, understand is not the same thing as like excusing what he did, or forgive him for what he did. That's something else entirely. And people, I think, have a hard time separating those two. Because there really is no forgiving anything Ward did. I mean, maybe at one point there might have been, but still, so much carnage that he left in his wake. It's like he had to go.
Push a little button and blow a hole in my skull.
Fitzsimmons will figure out a way.
No.
Mike really has no agency. He has no will. Like he has no choice. When this happened, I was like, what? What's happening?
A lot of us lost respect for Fury when he picked you as his second.
You needed eye candy around, could have at least picked Romanoff.
That's messed up.
He really is, yeah.
It doesn't have to go down like this, Ward. You don't owe Garrett anything.
You're wrong.
You did sense a little bit of just like, really, Ward, you don't have to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there were plenty of moments and chances they gave him, like, we can work with it. Obviously, I don't know what that would look like, but we can attempt something. But Ward's blind loyalty to Garrett is, I mean, it destroyed him.
No, I know, but how did you get past Deathlock?
Deathlock's here?
Look on his face. I mean, really? This is the best. You're telling me people watch this and are like, garbage show?
Yeah.
Look at this. Come on.
That's awesome.
And then this.
And this looks great too, like for a TV show budget. Like,
Yes.
you could
It
tell,
looks
like
amazing.
you could tell that most of their efforts was into the car, trying to make it look as good as possible and all that. But this looks great.
Yes. The hair, man. That's what does it for me.
You try anything like that again, I will kill you.
Wasn't personal.
Ooh. How does it feel?
Yeah.
How does it
Take
feel? Wow.
He's got to take the little wins for himself for once in a while.
Yeah, Mike, yeah.
We're not bringing the band back together again, Coulson. It's over. There is no shield anymore.
You see, she's not on the page that Nick was. I don't know what happened. Maybe they didn't tell her later on.
Cut a deal? Work in the private sector?
You know, Stark would take you in a heartbeat.
It's not my style.
He can't leave his team. They're his family now. This is what he has. If he leaves S.H.I.E.L.D., what does he have left? I mean, he's said that already several times.
I'm not Hydra.
Yeah, good. Good.
You know, at this point,
Of course not.
Yeah.
man, when I first watched this, I'm just like, I remember thinking, why do I love this show? I love these characters. I love them so much. And I think to me, this is when I realized, man, I want the world for them. I want to see where they're going to go. And, man, even just that part right there.
Thank you, sir.
How else can you react to that? Like, yeah. Because I'm sure he was probably ready to be like, oh, that son of a bitch, she did this and all that, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no.
It was me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say. Let's just go ahead and go over to One Media's video.
Great episode. Again, I love what they've been doing with this whole thriller, this burner notice kind of vibe that's been going on since they've lost their status, lost their station. And then on top of that, and how they've learned, everybody across the board in all their different ways, about Ward. You know, the way Skye found out, beautifully done. The way the team found out, beautifully done. As they were trying to piece together what the hell happened when they came back to the bunker to find it in the situation it was in with all the data just wiped and everybody gone. You know, May going to Maria, though that didn't go exactly according to plan there. You know, she got her information on Tahiti that led her to finding that drive in Coulson's grave. But in turn, you know, I don't know if she made that trade with Maria to give them up the location of that bunker or how they figured it out. Whatever the arrangement was there. Sent Talbot after them, and then she learned the truth of the matter about what they were actually doing there. And there's like, oh, ooh, well, we didn't know that. We didn't know about Garrett and Ward. So I guess, hold on, let's reframe this, and then she helped them get out of there, go track Ward down. Meanwhile, the cat and mouse game between Ward and Skye was brilliant. Skye pulled out masterclass moves the entire time. The whole thing at the diner and setting up this like anonymous tip about Ward's location to throwing herself at the cops to get them to arrest her, to get her out of there once she showed her hand. All of it was so well done until Deathlock showed up and just really kind of got a handle on things. But my
Literally.
God, man, I love the Ward is such, like, I don't know what he expected. I don't know what Ward
Right?
expected when he was just like, you'll understand one of these days. And I love that she laid into him, like, about the whole, like, Nazi association with Hydra. Is like, what are you talking about? Of course it is. It's like the whole thing. And he's like, you don't understand. I just Garrett. I'm not a Nazi. So yeah, I don't know. I don't care what the excuse is, but who knows? Maybe there's some magical thing and there's a redemption, or maybe if there is like some kind of convoluted thing going on about what he owes Garrett, about why he is alive and all this other stuff, and I don't know. I find it hard to believe, given the station and the setting at hand and what we know and what has been done, that you could turn us around. I don't know how you do that. Garrett even doesn't trust Ward at this point either, so I don't know what to expect on that front. You know, he sent Deathlock after them to make sure that Ward gets this job done, and to do it if Ward fails. He's making sure to have contingencies for his contingencies. So I'm very curious to see how they bring him down, man, and what little gift Skye left them on that drive. Either way, man, these last couple of episodes, this whole back half has been just insanely fun, tense, and just well executed. I absolutely adore the way they've been doing all this spy thriller shit. This whole mole turncoat kind of storyline has been so much fun. And the way it's paired up, if you were to watch this consecutively with like what is going on in the MCU right now, I can't imagine what this might have been like watching this at the time when it was airing. It
was
must have
awesome.
been insane.
It was awesome.
And again, I only understand more and more the further we get into this, how upsetting this had to have been. Seeing all these little ways this show tried desperately hard to make itself relevant, fit in, and even accentuate a lot of the things that were going on in the MCU at the time, just to get thrown away. I totally get it at this point, and who knows, it probably is only going to fan the flames even further the deeper we get into all of this. Lots of lingering threads, lots of fun little things here. May's back with the team, thankfully, after she found out what's going on. You know, this whole thing with Fitz, you know, having his just world fall apart around him, not just his association with S.H.I.E.L.D., but then with Ward, somebody who he gave his trust to and looked up to, admired in a lot of these ways, and even in a lot of ways also tried to impress and emulate, when he was very much so wanting to be out on the field, out and doing these missions and getting his hands dirty. You know, that was a lot of that came from looking up to Ward in a lot of ways, and then having that worldview just completely crumble when he was just in denial. The reveal happened and he's just falling apart, and then that just crushed him so much. And then even though in his heart of hearts he knows it would never be true, he still had to hear it from Gemma that she's not Hydra. And even if that wouldn't matter in the grand scheme of things, he just needed that solace. And I know that myself for being so shaken with reality that even though there is a 100% chance the horrible outcome that you're imagining in your head or that you're afraid of in your head cannot happen or is impossible, there's still that itch you can't get rid of until you just have to have it acknowledged. I've been in that situation a lot of times myself where, again, like all evidence to the contrary is all there, but like my brain is still like, but what if? Great episode, man. I don't know, we've got 2 episodes left. 2 episodes of this season left, and I again, I have no idea how to remember any of this shit, and I do not know what even could happen or will happen in these next 2 episodes, man. I'm excited.
But I love the enthusiasm, and I have to say, I think just about I agree with every single thing he said.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's exactly how I feel about the episode. I think all the points that he made, and I hadn't even realized. I mean, maybe I didn't. I sometimes you don't realize things until somebody else puts them into words. But when he was saying how, yeah, in many instances in the early episodes, you could say that Fitz looked up to Ward and was using him as kind of like a model of sorts for how he could perform in the field. For sure. Anything to add or agree with what he was saying there?
Everything was great. the first half of it was just super, super intense of like what's gonna happen next, what's this guy gonna do, how's she gonna get away with it, and I mean she used her past experience to try to come up with an idea and knew from what she learned from Shield and everything. I loved everything about the other cast, Coulson and the team. You know, them figuring out that Ward is Hydra and everything, their reactions to it, it's all great. So, and then what else? Oh yeah, like I mentioned too, the way they dealt with Maria Hill in the situation was great, and kind of wish we would have gone that with other characters.
So exactly, what do they do with Maria Hill in Secret Invasion? She just shows up and she dies?
Basically, she basically explains to us what's been going on with Fury, how he's been after the blip, after coming back and all that, and apparently Fury hasn't been the same since he came back because he feels like he completely failed. You know, he got killed off. He couldn't protect the world. That was his main thing to do. And so, she's, I think, from what I'm trying to remember, I think she was trying to get him to like fully retire now. But he had to fix this thing with the scrolls and all that. So, the main villain was a Skrull. Obviously, the things that they do, shapeshift. They were trying to stop an attack from the Skrulls. And through they couldn't stop it through the chaos of it all. Who was it? How did it happen? Dang. Well, Fury got confused. Thought he shot the Skrull, but it turned out to be Maria, and that's how she did. Which I get it why they did it in the show, because you know that's kind of the main thing that's gonna happen. It's like one of them is bound to get confused for the other, and someone's gonna get killed by that because of a Skrull shapeshifting thing. But I remember now. No, I remember now. The Skrull disguised himself as Fury. Maria went up to him being like, hey, like, you know, what's next? What do we do? And then he shot her. The Skrull shot her, went down. Fury saw that and was like, no, like it wasn't me and all that. That's I remember. That's how it went down. So yeah. That's all I can see it as. It's like you just did that because you knew that was supposed to happen in this kind of show when you're dealing with a Skrull. Yeah. And that's why I kind of felt pointless because...
So usually what the MCU does when they bring in characters like that is they waste them, right? And they don't really do anything with that. Whereas here, she was very well integrated with the cast of characters that we have here.
And what sucks though, I don't know if I saw one animated like Avengers show. They was just called Avengers Earth Mightiest Hero. And in that, Maria Hill in the show betrays Fury because she doesn't find him to be a good leader and she wants to take control of S.H.I.E.L.D. and all that. That was interesting. And you actually see that in a deleted scene in the first Avengers movie. I don't know if you remember, but there was a moment where she was just like, she's like tired of like Fury's leadership and all that. Actually tells
No, I don't recall, no.
Yeah, I think that's what they were trying to do with her, at least eventually, but it never happened.
Yeah. Kevin Feige just abandons things completely. Or changes his mind, and yeah, that's how it is. Let's look here. Oliver Sava, AV Club. What Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has needed from the very beginning is a high-octane action sequence involving Lola. Ending the pilot with a shot of Lola soaring through the air was a great way of building confidence that this would be a fun action series tied to a classic S.H.I.E.L.D. comic book concepts. And that thrill returns when Coulson and Skye find themselves falling through the air in a rapidly descending piece of shiny red metal this week. Sure, the effects may not be the slickest, but it's one hell of an ambitious sequence for a network TV series and a great way to cap off this show's most intense episode yet. Wow, am I reading the AV Club? Oh, that's pretty positive commentary there. You know, it's going to be oh man, I shot myself in the foot. Okay. You know it's going to be a good episode when it starts with Maria Hill making a reference to Man-Thing. Just can't help himself, can he?
Yeah.
After making a cameo in the pilot, Kobe Smulders returns as the former Agent Hill to put another nail in S.H.I.E.L.D.'s coffin, helping the U.S. government track down leftover bases and agents that may be compromised by Hydra. While on the phone with her new boss at Stark Industries, Pepper Potts, Maria complains about having to testify for... Okay. Who or what is a man? He just devoted a whole paragraph to Man-Thing. Okay. Oh my God. Seriously, I just realized, okay, this whole thing was to do that. And oh no, I'm sorry, 2 paragraphs to Man-Thing. Seriously. Okay, we don't need to know that. No, I'm sorry, 3 paragraphs to Man-Thing. He just spends 3 paragraphs talking about Man-Thing. Okay. And then another paragraph on what's he saying here? For season 2, I'd love to see this show turn into an exploration of the corners of the MCU. That will likely... Oh, no, 4 paragraphs on Man-Thing. Okay. Next. The more... I'm not kidding, folks. The reviews online, you can look it up for yourselves. The more this show embraces its comic book heritage, the better it becomes. And the presence of Hydra, Maria Hill, Glenn Talbot, Deathlock, and a flying car help make Nothing Personal the best episode of the series to date. And then he's speculating about what will Glenn Talbot do, and Man-Thing again. And then also he mentions Danny Rand for whatever reason. That said, you could fill this show with Avengers and it would mean nothing if the story is bad. And the plot of the series has gotten so much better since Winter Soldier turned everything upside down. The Ward revealed has ramped up the tension considerably and dramatically altered character dynamics. And the team's new status as a renegade agent cleaning up Hydra's mess is much more proactive and engaging than what had come before. The stakes are extremely high. But the script by Paul Zawetsky and DJ Doyle balances the drama with comedy to make those more emotional moments hit harder. In the middle of... By the way, I'm not sure if S.H.I.E.L.D. is doing anything different with the comedy that was used in this episode. I don't know how the comedy in this episode was any different than what they already had in the first few. But it's funny how now they're like, yay, comedy. But back then, it's a bit too jokey. Just putting that out there, okay? In the middle of Agent May's solo mission to uncover the truth about Coulson's resurrection, there's a humorous scene in a cemetery where a grieving man hears May digging up Coulson's grave. She acts completely nonchalant and offers her condolences as she leaves with a flash drive. And little bits of comedy like that are invaluable in episodes like this one. Brett Dalton has started to bring a bit of Jack Nicholson-like mania towards character in moments of... I don't know why he brought up Jack Nicholson. I don't know what he... When I think of Jack Nicholson, I don't think of Brett Dalton, but okay, sure. In the moments of extreme stress when he drops... and you were like side-eyeing, like, what? When he drops his S.H.I.E.L.D. Boy Scout mask. And the further Dalton pushes that side of the character, the more interesting he becomes. Caught between Garrett, the man who saved him from his abusive home life, and Skye, the young woman who allowed him to be a mentor in the way Garrett was to him, Ward is becoming mentally unhinged and has no idea how obvious it is. The opening scenes with Ward and Skye depict the characters as horrible liars who can't believably sell their respective lies. And their personal feelings prevent them from being able to deceive each other. Ward has a mission that he needs to accomplish. Yeah. For Skye, this is all personal. She's being betrayed by someone she put her trust in and gave her heart to. She's finding out someone she cared about is a frickin' Nazi, as she says. She despises Ward, and she can barely contain her hatred long enough to put his information on the most wanted list. Pretty ballsy move right there. And in an exhilarating sequence, Ward fights off local police officers while Skye runs off and tries to get herself arrested, once again showing that close quarters are highly beneficial to the fight choreography on this show. While Ward fights inside the diner, Skye claws at police officers and tells them that she's a fugitive agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., but then Ward fires off 2 rounds and kills the 2 men in a moment that could be pulled from a serial killer thriller. As Skye flees in a stolen police car, Deathlock appears in the distance, then jumps through the air, lands on the hood of the car, and punches through the windshield to choke Skye as the episode cuts to commercial. The scene is a gripping combination of secret agent and superhero action, and Chloe Bennett does a particularly strong work selling Skye's mix of fear, desperation, and perseverance. She's never been a more admirable character than when she's standing up to Ward, and the violence of her reactions during their conversations heightens her emotional state. She's so mad at Ward, she headbutts him at one point, and there's a lot of satisfaction to be had in watching that happen. It would be awesome if the show defied expectations and completely ignored a Ward-Skye romance in the future, because Bennett's performance makes it hard to see Skye's feelings softening. Well, that's true. I guess people really did think it, even after all this, people still thought that maybe there was a chance that in future seasons they would end up being a couple after all, that they would be endgame, as they say. Mm-hmm. That didn't happen.
Nah, I feel like
I'm not sure that they were never going to do that. I don't think that was realistically.
I think him
that
being
was
a
never in the
Nazi
air.
was like pretty clear that nothing was gonna happen. And even more than likely,
that's a step too far.
Yeah, and even like after this reveal, I'm surprised nobody thought like, oh, he's probably gonna die at the end of the season or something.
Yeah. Well, Skye deals with Ward and Deathlock. Coulson and the rest of the team are coming to terms with Ward as an agent of Hydra. Yada yada yada. Coulson's group is feeling that what every other non-Hydra affiliated S.H.I.E.L.D. agent is feeling. The nothing personal, the complete opposite of it. Fitz taking the Ward news the hardest, yada yada yada. Coulson saves Skye with Maria Hill's help, and the team settles at a motel to ponder their next move. Before Maria leaves, band back together. Coulson is gonna hold up to what he does know, and that's the team he has holed up with him at a budget motel. It won't be a family without Agent May, who reconciles, and then, of course, Project Tahiti. Turns out it was Coulson himself who ordered the memory replacement after witnessing the rapid mental deterioration caused by the drug. The best way to... Okay. So what happens now that he knows? That's the fun part. The series really should have started in the winter and done an abbreviated first season, which would have forced the Clairvoyant and Coulson storylines to move more quickly and made the series more unpredictable by introducing a major status quo shift earlier in its existence. A major twist at episode 6 feels like it's part of the groundwork for the series, but a major twist at episode 16 after the show has already stumbled around for over half a season gives off the impression of course correction, even if it was intended from the start. Now that S.H.I.E.L.D. is unshackled from its titular organization, it has the freedom to be anything it wants, and that has ultimately unlocked the series' potential. Hill tells Coulson to walk away when his current mission is over, but hopefully this show's creative team gets the opportunity to keep him and his team moving forward now that the series is on the right track. A lot of people share this perspective, but I continue to maintain the first 16 episodes, the first 10 episodes, look, we're not immediately getting to this plot, but it gave you character. And you wouldn't care, I wouldn't care as much as I do about what's happening in episode 20 if we didn't have episodes 1 through 10. I feel adamant about that. Like, that's just how it works. Okay. That's the most positive review from AV Club yet. They give it an A. Nothing personal. Then IGN. Eric Goldman. This episode continued its run of much improved episodes in the home stretch of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s first season, with the entire team discovering the truth about Ward. As expected, Skye had used that time after she found Koenig's body to leave a message for the team, and I liked Fitz, who obviously is the worst at masking his emotions, being so all over the place when it came to processing Ward being Hydra. It was great to see Fitz articulate a lot of audience theories near the end, including musing that perhaps Ward was brainwashed, or asking Simmons point blank if she's Hydra, which I believe Simmons has been my big go theory for many. Like, I think Eric Goldman was one of the first people who was theorizing that Simmons could be Hydra, and of course, as we discussed in previous weeks, there was some toying around from the producers and creators behind the scenes that maybe Simmons could be one of the Hydra sleeper agents. Of course, it didn't take much thought to realize if you actually went through with that would break the entire show. Because if you break Fitzsimmons, you break the show. Kobe Smulders had some fun material this week as Maria Hill. I love Smulders, but Maria was one of the few bland parts of the Avengers, though the Winter Soldier gave her a couple more endearing moments. And then this episode gave her more nuances. Coulson and Skye escaping with Lola. Enough that I'll try and overlook the pretty silly looking effects. Come on. That looked great for what it was. To go back and watch that shit. I don't know. Again, if you're comparing this to Game of Thrones, I understand. But that being said, you shouldn't be comparing this to Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. It's not fair on any level to anybody involved. Jeez, man. The best material in this episode was between Ward and Skye, even as it was reinforced that Ward cares for Skye, both since some, and then of course I never hated the character, though she had some annoying moments in the mid-season, but I did resent the show continually telling me that I should love her. Okay, fine, whatever. I guess we can't get over that. The final scenes had some intriguing moments. Maria articulated a lot of questions we have for the series, assuming it gets a second season, because of course at this point we still don't have a second season renewal, and there's only 2 episodes left of this first season. Anyway, you get the point. Any closing thoughts, David, on these reviews? Any surprises? Anything else?
No.
Okay, I'm done. You're done. I'm sure the rest of you are done. We will read the comments for episode 19 next time. And I assume also for episode 20, I'm hoping. We'll see how that works.
Yeah,
we'll see. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all very much also for loving the show. I adore this show completely. I love the fact that we get to come on here and really share our love of the show together. And we will see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.